dare you?
Let's start the show.
Let's start the show. I was going to make the same dumb Philip DeFranco joke, but
and every time you bring it up, I have to think about him and his stupid face. So.
You know, I haven't thought about him in a long time.
You're the one who always makes me think of it. So.
And I thought, or I saw a tweet of his the other day, and I was like, oh my God, he's still alive.
Was it dumb? What was he talking about?
No, it was a video of the Lebanon thing.
Oh, well.
But still, it was like, I thought he had disappeared from the internet.
Did he say that it was a Jewish conspiracy? That sounds like something Philip DeFranco would say.
DeFranco?
It's a Mossad conspiracy to...
Philip DeFranco is an anti-Yosemite.
Mm-hmm. Anti-Yosemite. Oh my God. I need to pull up that clip. Sorry.
Please do. Trump was doing like a press conference.
Sorry.
He was doing a press conference and somebody asked him about, I don't even know what they asked him about, but he was talking about people going to Yosemite or something. I didn't even watch the full thing. I just heard him say what he's about to say.
It's so good.
It's hilarious. Yeah. Oh my God. It's so funny that he's never read this word out loud.
We're here today to celebrate the passage of truly landmark legislation that will preserve America's majestic natural wonders, priceless historic treasures, and that's exactly what they are. President Theodore Roosevelt was right when he called these exquisite resources the most glorious heritage a people ever received. We want every American child to have access to pristine outdoor spaces. When young Americans experience the breathtaking beauty of the Grand Canyon, when their eyes widen in amazement as Old Faithful bursts into the sky, when they gaze upon Yosemites towering.
I love how he corrects. He's like, Yosemite.
Well, what's so crazy about it is that that's why I made the joke about him. It's it's a Jewish thing because he read Semite in his head because he says Yosemites, Yoseminites. He's his brain's trying to get it in there. Listen to it again now. Think of his brain misfiring in reading because he's clearly not thinking. He's just reading.
Yeah.
And we have those words what's the word that everyone said there's a word that everyone says wrong because they only read it. They never say it out loud. There's a few different words like that, but I think Trump's never been to a national park, so that's partly what this is.
Epitome was one of those for me.
Yeah, epitome. Yeah,
I would always say epitome. Yeah, as a kid, I don't say it anymore.
That's the one. I mean, that's the one that everyone does because it doesn't. Because seldom in English do we have the e without anything else. But just now think he's thinking of Jews, right? Jews are on the brain. We got Jews on the brain. So here we go.
Upon Yosemites tower.
It's Jews. He's totally got Jews on his brain.
Looking upon Yosemites.
On Yosemites.
We should have Yosemites as a drop.
I'm kind of retarded.
That's my new one.
As a way to say hi to all of our Jewish listeners. Yosemites.
Yosemites.
How's it going?
Yosemites, Yoseminites.
Can you refer to Jewish people as Semites?
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
I mean, otherwise it wouldn't be anti-Semitism. It's not like it's...
I just thought maybe it's it's an unclaimed... Or it's a word that needs to be reclaimed before we can use it.
I don't think so, because we don't... if it's black racism, we don't call it anti-Nintendo.
Oh my gosh.
This was very anti-Nintendo. How dare you? But yeah, so that was that, which is a good one.
That was fantastic. I laughed so hard at that. There's another one that came out recently where he was talking about his cognitive test.
Oh yes.
Greg actually retweeted a video or an edit of him doing it. So he's saying person, woman, man, camera, TV. He says it in that order, and then he comments about how you had to say it in the correct order to get the maximum amount of points on the cognitive test. And Greg retweeted an edit of, gosh, I forget the name of the song. It's Cell Block Tango. Of the song that's pop, six, squish, sis roll lipshits. It's so it's an iconic song, but they edited Trump's person, woman, man, camera, TV.
It's pretty good.
So good. So funny. I laughed so hard at that, Greg.
Speaking of people being in cognitive decline.
Oh God.
Here's Dude, Joe Biden can't go a week without one of these.
No, he is just off the rails.
Because this isn't even close to Trump's, like, nothing that really Trump has done in terms of, like, cognitive issues. Because, again, like, we know what that was. It's like, because when you see rally Trump, that's Trump at his best. Like,
right,
because
like, he's not reading. He's
which
just
is why,
acting. He's playing.
Well, let me play this clip, and then we'll get into it.
Have you taken a cognitive test?
No, I haven't taken a test. Why the hell would I take a test?
Whoa.
Come on, man. That's like saying you, before you got in this program, if you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not, what do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
What do you say to President Trump, who brags about his test and makes your mental state an issue for voters?
Well, if he can't figure out the difference between an elephant and a lion, I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
That's on the cognitive test where you have to identify what animals are. I think that's what he's referring to, but he just did not connect the wires enough.
Let's try to really highlight the string of thought here. So first of all, a drug test is not even close to a cognitive test.
No. Like,
pissing in a cup is very different than someone checking your mental faculties by, like, some psychological tricks to maybe get the things that you don't quite notice in your blind spots. Or
have you taken a cognitive test?
No, I haven't taken a test. Why the hell would I take a test?
Number one, he's so mad.
Yeah.
And
come on, man.
And Joe,
fat.
You should take it. You should.
He should.
And the reason why you're not, and you're this defensive, is you know that a professional will be like, dude, something's really wrong with you.
Test.
Oops.
Come on, man.
Oh, yeah.
That's like
takes
saying
a long
you,
pause.
before you got in this program, if you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not, what do you think, huh?
What do you
Are
think,
you a
huh?
junkie?
What do you say to...
So what is...
scary.
He asked this guy about taking... He's so incensed by this question. Incensed? Yeah. Incensed by this question that he's insinuating this...
Take a test. Come on, man. That's like saying you, before you got in this program, if you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not, what do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
What do you say?
So he's comparing it to like a drug test, I guess.
Which is also crazy. So he says, before you get into this program, I think he means this reporter working on the program that he works on. Did he get a cocaine test? And then he says, are you a junkie?
Yeah.
And it's like, that has nothing to do with cognitive decline or a cognitive test. Plus, your son got arrested. Your son's a crack addict. So it's like, and also this guy's black, which is like there's like
very weird.
There's so much with this where it's like, and again, like you can see the link on the video here. I know you can't see it, Sean, but it's visit donaldjtrump.com.
Oh Jesus!
Biden cuts Trump ads for free all the time,
every day.
So these are the two pants-shitting retards we have running for president.
It's important to note that came from that description originally came from a description of the Gorons in Legend of Zelda.
Yes, which
they are pants-shittingly retarded.
It made me laugh so hard.
I'm kind of retarded.
Do you know what that is?
Yeah, he's on Joe Rogan, right?
Yeah, Alex Jones.
I'm
kind of retarded. I'm kind of retarded.
That's so
I'm kind of retarded.
He expressed his first bout of self-awareness in an iconic line.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about Alex Jones. I think he actually is pretty self-aware.
Yeah.
Which is what makes him funny when you know that. It's like when you watch his stuff and you understand that he's an entertainer is when you really see Alex Jones at his best. Like, remember the llama thing?
I was just going to mention that.
I should probably show our viewing.
He recorded like a full episode with just llamas running around his set. His studio.
And he cannot focus on anything else other than the llamas.
No, look at this. Look how beautiful.
Here we go. I don't know.
Look at this creature.
I'm not big enough to get in trouble for showing an Alex Jones clip.
Play and rock and roll. It's a long way to the top if you want to warn people about the eugenics operation. But we're doing it right now. They're not going to stop us.
What?
You can't have a weirder scene. You've got
He's surrounded
Don Jr.
by
killed a 25
llamas.
million-year-old Triceratops. That went total viral, how he killed an endangered species. The left actually believed it.
What is he talking about?
And then we've got right here 4 llamas, ladies and gentlemen. And now that I've been petting them properly, pet the neck, not the ear. These aren't like horses. They're now in love with me. Absolutely in love with me right now. Mike Adams riding shotgun. And we're doing this to explain how things really work. I was saying, hey, let's give these llamas some fluoride water And this nice lady right here that owns the llamas with her friends, she goes, oh no, only well water. So anybody that has horses or cows knows if you give them city water, they die usually about a year. But don't worry, it's good for your children. Oh God, it's so good. I'm sorry. Just drink the fluoride water for your children, please. The lower IQ, sterilization, cancer, you deserve it. So,
I wonder what's going through like the tamer's mind.
She's on Alex Jones. She knows exactly what she got herself into.
You think she's a fan of InfoWars?
Of course. Like because InfoWars. That's kind of the thing that's so funny about like. Okay, so like, the first point I want to make. I know I'm all over the map here, but like,
it's fun.
Alex Jones I love him. I really do. Like, I don't love what he talks about, but he's hilarious. He's probably the most entertaining person in the country. I like, other than our president. I mean, it's like, but someone being entertaining doesn't have to necessarily mean it's an endorsement of their character, right?
Right, of course.
But it's just like, this guy does this show live for 3 hours. He's been doing it for like 25 fucking years, and he is hilarious, like, constantly. And so, but the thing is like, when they chose to systematically use every outlet to cancel him on the same day, it just made him a household name. Like, because every news outlet then had to report on that because it was kind of a national issue. Right. And so like, he was kind of a fringe figure, I think, before that. And it's like, yeah, I mean, you took away like a huge revenue stream of his, but it's like, in terms of everyone knowing his name now, like, would your parents have known who Alex Jones was before that happened?
Oh, I don't think so.
But they know now, right?
Yeah, of course.
So it's like, point being that this woman totally knows who he is, of course, and like, and what he stands for, and whatever. And also that I'm
kind of retarded,
so, but I don't know. 'Cause like, that's the thing. This is like bipolar mania in its truly distilled form.
Yeah, for sure. And he's been doing it every day for 25 years, like you said.
Yeah.
He has weaponized his mania.
And before this, he was doing he would do like public access stuff. Like, he's been around and doing this forever. And like, dude, honestly, his hustle is so strong. Because again, like, the people who will buy into the conspiracy stuff that he throws out there are people that would, if it wasn't this, it would be Heaven's Gate, and they'd be drinking Kool-Aid and dying in Nikes. Like, they're like, or they become like, people have this desperation to belong to something. And so if it's religion or QAnon or Alex Jones, like, Alex Jones is probably the most harmless out of all of them. Because like, really the only misstep they had was him kind of questioning some of the facts about Sandy Hook, which is fucked up because kids died and all that kind of like, all that stuff, obviously. But simultaneously, it's like, there was a lot of stuff that was weird when that happened. Like, we only have this one picture of this kid. I don't know.
Let's not get into that. But I don't want to go.
It was weird though. I mean, there's like a bunch of really weird shit.
I don't want to hear that you don't believe that Sandy.
No, I do believe it happened. But I think that like, and largely what was omitted or what seemed strange was because child murder is so horrific. It's kind of thing we talked about with Epstein, of like, people can't really handle the absolute truth of the whole situation because it's too dark. I think like, some autistic teenager going up and shooting an elementary school up is like so horrific. The public can't really handle the full scope of the information. And so I think the authorities who then informed the corporate press were just like, let's kind of limit what we're saying about this because it's so intense. But that was the thing that got him on, was just because, like, again, we do a live show. We're not nearly as big as he is. But again, it's like when you're just riffing and going on stuff and you have an angle, and his angle is like conspiracy. That's like his whole thing is like conspiracy, false flags. He has been talking, like, to his credit, he's been talking about the Epstein thing for years. And like the way that it's played out recently has been mark for mark everything that he's been saying. But a lot of the shit he says is,
I'm kind of retarded,
most of the time. But he's entertaining. But how do we end up here? I don't even know.
I don't either. Let's move on.
Yes, we can move on. So Mayor Garcetti is insane.
Did you happen to catch the press conference or anything?
I didn't, but I looked up a KTLA article to confirm what I read.
I like KTLA. They just, I grew up kind of watching KTLA, and then I moved to Florida, lost it for a few years, and then moved back to California and got KTLA again. And it's just like this warm blanket, of like growing up, waking up at 5 a.m. to go to school in the morning. Out here in California, and just seeing KTLA on the news.
Yeah, it's like a comforting morning presence. I think that, like, I would usually wake up before my parents when I was a kid because I don't really sleep. And then I'd watch. They would on one of the channels. I think like maybe it was ABC or whatever. Like before the news would come on, they would play The Nanny with Fran Drescher.
Oh my God, The Nanny.
And Charles in Charge.
I don't know that one.
It's a 70s show. Charles in Charge of our days.
I have no idea what that is.
It's with Suzanne Summers, who was really hot during the time period. She's a big fat woman now. She's a big fat person. And then what's his name? He died. John. Fuck. Anyway, it was a good show. So like
John. Fuck.
Yeah.
It's a good show.
Yeah.
But
this one's already really off the rails.
Yeah. Let's talk about Garcetti.
Yeah. So okay. So the tweet I have pulled up here is I couldn't believe it was true actually. Like that's why I actually had to look up the article because I'm like,
of course.
So it says breaking LA Mayor Garcetti announces he is authorizing the city to shut off water and power to any houses or businesses that are hosting any parties or unauthorized large gatherings. It will begin Friday night, and LAPD will respond, then contact Department of Water and Power to cut it off. The move comes after a massive mansion party took place in Beverly Crest on Monday night. It ended with a shooting that left one woman dead and 2 other critically injured. Police tell us that the party on Mulholland Drive was gang-related. The party was not broken up. So what's weird, what I thought... My one of my instant thoughts was like, optically, who does this appease? Like, maybe 10% of white suburban women, but like most people are gonna view this as like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
It's fucking scary. It's like such an overreach for the government or just like the Department of Power and Water to just, let's shut off your utilities if we think that if police have shown up and they think that you have been gathering in large groups or whatever.
And what's crazy to me about it is like again, about optics, like he has no authority and no power to do this.
Right.
And neither does the LAPD. So it's like, and also like you pay for these utilities, right? Like, as citizens. So if they were to move forward and turn them off, dude, the amount of civil suits the city would get, like, so point being that it would never actually happen. So what is he thinking he's accomplishing by doing this? And like also the same mayor who had to reluctantly admit that the protests probably expanded the amount of the virus and would never admit that this party, I mean, there was a gang shooting. So, you know, we kind of know the demographic, you know, it's like, we know the demographic that was there. And it's like, so it's like, it just is so crazy to me. Like the amount of like the tightrope act of Los Angeles of like, we can't inflame racial tensions, but also we need to keep saying this virus is very serious, which I believe that it is. But it's like, it was crazy because in the same article, well, I'll read the article from KTLA. If you don't, unless you have something.
Sure.
So this is Los Angeles
whole
mayor.
Thing?
I'll read as much until I find it's not important anymore. Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti on Wednesday announced that he's authorizing the city to shut off LA Department of Water and Power services at houses, businesses, and other venues hosting large gatherings during the pandemic. Starting on Friday night, if LAPD responds and verifies that a large gathering is occurring at a property, and we see these properties offending time and time again, they will provide that, like, those kinds of qualifiers are like, which is like, again, like he has these qualifiers in it that it's like a threat, but it's a very politically miscalculated threat. It's so weird. And we see these properties offending time and time again. They will provide notice and initiate the process to request the Department of Water and Power shut off service within the next 48 hours. So, like, again, like,
the next 48 hours, that's what it said?
Right. So,
holy shit.
But again, there's so many qualifiers in it of, like, basically it's a very empty threat.
Yeah.
But it's such a miscalculated threat because it's like, this would only affect poor people, generally speaking. And again, it's like, how, like, so you're now giving the police force to determine what is an unlawful gathering. And so your response to that is like letting the police force, which is totally unpopular right now in American discourse, to have control over people's water and power.
To determine if you deserve to keep your water and power.
Right. Like, and again, like, this is so aggressive, while the statement he made about the protests maybe spreading the virus was a very tepid sort of like, oh, they might have. And it's like, okay, we all saw the pictures. We know it probably did. Like, and again, like the protest spreading virus doesn't mean the protests don't have merit. That's something I have to keep saying every time.
Of course.
But crazy. I mean, like
insane, absolutely insane.
And so there's one other thing I want to read in this. The announcement came after the county's health department on Tuesday issued a legally binding order banning gatherings following a large Beverly Crest house party that involved people crowding together, the majority without face masks. Violating the health code order, blah, blah, blah. So, like, they have, like, the death rate in here. Like, I think, like, only about 5,000 people have died in L.A. County, which is, I mean, like, again, I mean, we've said it many times, like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Like, because, like, so the Senate and the House are arguing over whether or not to pay us to, like, because the government has taken away all of our working opportunities, especially in this county, and we keep getting more and more restrictive on what people can do. And so so we have Washington, who has no connection to people that make less than $1 million, and also live in this particular city, which has very interesting complications of, like, a ton of people are independent contractors, a ton of people are employed by the entertainment industry. I'm talking about myself. And so we're directly affected by this. And so they're fighting over, like, paying us, while Mayor Garcetti in Los Angeles is saying that if we don't comply to his rules, he's going to shut off my water and power.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, it's fucking insane to me. I said to you, I've actually been to a party at this same house.
Yeah, that's really interesting to me.
So the house that was featured in this KTLA article, I feel sort of like a little bit like famous for having been there.
You should.
I went to a New Year's Eve party at this house. It's like a 3-story house. The floor that you enter on is the second floor. It's like a gated driveway. You go in, everything is like white marble. It's honestly, I hate it. It's
gaudy,
hideous.
yeah.
It's hideous.
It's like one of Trump's houses or something. It's like everything's marbled in gold.
And there's no furniture. There's none. So it's like, it's just an empty white marble house with a pool and 3 floors. The bathrooms are also gaudy, but gaudy in a different way. They're like gold and like mixed granite.
It's like
if
like a Persian decorated their house.
Yeah, I mean it is. I think it actually it's like it might be
oil money.
It might be oil money.
Yeah.
So so the owner of this place, from what I understand, because I got this as secondhand information from my friend who knows the dude who hosted the party. The dude who hosted the party rented it from the owner, who basically rents out this house like an Airbnb for $50,000 a night. There are rooms that are off limits. You cannot go into some of the bedrooms. You cannot use some of the bathrooms. And I think most of the bedrooms on the first floor are like locked and you can't get in, or you're not supposed to go in. If you do, you have to pay more. You have to pay like a fine, a huge fine. But this place, like I went on New Year's and it was, I don't like the inside, but like the amount of people that were there, not this most recent New Year's, a few years back, the amount of people that were inside was like elbow to elbow. It was crazy. And the only reason we got in because our friend knew the host of the party. But it's wild to see that specific house on TV again.
Well, and again, so like, you know, it was young people, right? Mm-hmm. Young black people. I mean, it's like probably a pretty safe assumption. Like, I don't think like a gang shooting doesn't really happen at a mixed race, equally mixed race party.
Well, it could have been like the rapping community, you know, like
sure,
SoundCloud
fine.
rapping,
yeah,
like
there's like
Lil Pump, Lil Yachty,
couple of up and coming Post Malones in there.
All the Lils,
sure.
You know.
Yeah.
Tekashi 6ix9ine. It feels more like a Tekashi 6ix9ine move to rent out, like a young rapper to rent out such a shitty gaudy place,
yeah.
McMansion, yeah. And host like a party during COVID. It feels like a young rapper type thing to do. It doesn't feel like an older, more, you know,
because like I have to admit, I was thinking about this. Like, I think that like young people, like there's so much talk about, especially like people like with mask compliance and this kind of stuff about you know, think about, and we even said this on like earlier coronavirus episodes, was like think about other people opposed to yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And considering how young people are super selfish, generally speaking, they have been pretty good. And I think the protests were a nice way to sort of get out and like, again, like, and we'll talk about George Floyd a little bit later, but like, I mean, I don't think those protests, they were about him, but they were largely something bigger.
Of course, yeah.
It was like, we have been compliant
I think we
for
said that
2
from
months.
the start.
Yeah, like this has been, and so it is no surprise to me that a party like this would happen, especially with a demographic that the media wants us to think is completely like affected by this with no explanation as to why. And we did talk about this on another podcast too, of like possibly the diabetes rate in the black community and this kind of thing. So it's like, young people don't really give a fuck anymore. It's kind of because, again, it's like we are the ones who are suffering the most. I think now from this, and like in terms of like not necessarily being out of work right now, but like our future has been decimated, and it's like you're getting to enjoy the worst financial crisis. I think of even my grandparents' lifetime. Like
enjoy, yeah,
and yeah.
Take a sip, babes.
Right, and but like my grandparents are like 90 years old, and they're like, I've never seen anything like this before in my life. And again, it's like when you say like the worst financial crisis, people kind of harken back to a time when they weren't alive, like the Depression. Just wait for what's coming. Like,
dude, the depletion in the GDP, I think the percent depletion is more than it was during the Great Depression. So like we're down like 30% in our GDP, when in the Great Depression it was 9% or something like that, and 14, I forget. And
they're and these
I'm kind of retarded.
People in Washington are arguing over the amount of money that's in the unemployment that is helping keep the economy afloat, which is like, they're like, we don't know why the stock market's going up. It's because like people have disposable income to spend.
It's almost as if that people should be able to live above the poverty line, just as a right, you know. They shouldn't live below a poverty line to be able to stimulate an economy that our politicians so want.
Right. Yeah, it's so funny to me. Like the libertarian argument could not be any more.
It's so irrelevant
right now. Yeah.
And like like when I see a libertarian, I'm just fuck off. Like we need intervention, or rather like the intervention that we've gotten, the $600 on top of our unemployment per week, has been paying my rent. You said it's been paying your health insurance. I'm still on my parents, but like it covers just about everything for you.
It's so very state to state. Like, it was so funny. I know we talked about it before, and we're probably gonna do a lot of repeating. But the $1,200 we got 5 months ago. Is that how long ago it was?
Yeah, April 15th. It would have been.
It's 4 months ago.
4 months ago.
Yeah, like that $1,200 covers my rent and health insurance.
For a month.
Not even in, like, but not even totally. It doesn't totally cover all of it.
No, yeah, it doesn't.
So, yeah, like if you're in Alabama, like rural Alabama, and you got laid off and you're getting state assistance, yeah, you're making out like gangbusters right now. But here,
just so be it.
So
you know, like it's not. It wouldn't be fair to give people in rural Alabama $50 instead of $600. So just let it ride, you know, at least until the end of the year.
I mean, even Trump's saying it.
He is, and it's crazy. He had a tweet, and I think we actually maybe talked about it on the last episode, but he had a tweet that was super progressive, and it was like, wealth disparity is insane. Let's change it. I can't believe he fucking tweeted that.
Yeah.
It was a quote tweet of a video displaying how much billionaires have made in the last few weeks.
Well, and what's so interesting to me is like Mitch McConnell like must have talked to advisors or something, because he had this stupid thing about like trying to make it $200 a month, and like I don't know who he was talking to, but like now that the Democrats have been pushing back on it, to I guess their credit, I mean who knows.
So
he's now surrendered completely.
Yeah. That article or that screenshot you sent me of him being like, yeah, he's okay with whatever the Dems and the White House agree on. It's like, why weren't you just like this a few weeks ago?
Right.
We could have gotten another check. Kyle wants to know if we think we're going to get more Trump bucks. And
yeah, we will. That's guaranteed.
Yeah,
there's no stimulus coming in.
AOC actually, and I know like we don't love her on this podcast, but she had like an Instagram Q&A kind of thing going, and somebody asked her about like Congress going on recess, which is August 7th,
Friday,
which is Friday. Them going on recess until Labor Day.
They'll settle it before that, but
so AOC said on her Q&A that they're not going to leave Congress until something is settled. They've all made the pact to like stay in until something has been decided for the people. Otherwise, they're just going to,
Well, I mean, that's kind of the thing about this, and like why, like I don't even really care that she said that. Like, and I think that,
but it's information that I thought we should know because they aren't just going to leave on August 7th if nothing has happened.
Maybe that her followers should have known, but you knew that. I mean, you knew they would not like. Oh, I mean, did you really not like?
I don't know. I honestly like.
Okay, then good. I mean,
well, they thought our $1,200 was gonna last us 10 weeks.
No,
they're completely like delusional.
Sure,
about that.
but the reason why we all got dumped on the unemployment system and why the $600 was agreed upon is because, like, in order for them to create a system from scratch that consolidates us or makes us whole for our entire paycheck, they wouldn't have been able to implement it in time.
Yeah.
So like, but states already had an unemployment system in their they already had that system, so they were able to like dump us onto it, which was not ideal. Like it would have been better if they would have had a better system, but that's all they had. Like when this became the pandemic became, like in full effect. But so I don't know. I'm glad she gave you information. Like to me, it's like what I feel like they're doing is they're playing political football and they're involving all of us as citizens, so we get riled up about either party. Like that's what this is all about. And so, like, there are probably a lot of wealthy Republicans who say that people who are on unemployment making $600 a week are making too much money, right? Like, and which some people are making more money than they were making before. But simultaneously, it's like the argument I make against that one is a lot of the jobs that are being taken away. Like, hopefully, like you should be saving that money. The extra money you're making, you should be saving it because the job that you left or was taken away from you, rather, is probably not coming back.
Right.
So that'll give you a cushion to then find out what your next choice in life is, essentially.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's, I think, just the absolute truth. Like, there's really no way around it. So I don't know. I'm glad that maybe she's informing her younger audience to understand that.
Yeah.
But, like, what I know is that this is what Washington does all the time. They fuck with us in order to get us riled up to become more tribal. So we'll either decide that Mitch McConnell's right if we're a wealthy Republican, or Nancy Pelosi's right because she's pretending like she cares about working class people. I mean, that's all this is about.
Right. I don't think she's ever even met a working class person in her life.
No. She has two freezers and two refrigerators. Like that is a very like 1% thing.
That is an indication of who you are in the social class.
When you have a commercial grade like Ruth's Chris Steakhouse like kitchen in your house, I mean it's like you're
Ruth's Chris.
You're part of a different tribe of people.
That is so funny. Yeah, she's insane.
But I mean, but at the end of the day, like everybody in Washington is wanting to.
The vultures are waiting to pick your bones.
I fucking
the stinger, yeah.
I love that quote. I'm so glad we added that to our drops.
Me too.
The vultures are waiting to pick your bones.
Speaking of her, good. She popped up in the news again recently. Oprah.
Oh, she did. She said something about how white people, regardless of how much money you have, still have a leg up in life.
It's so funny because I'll get into this with the Ellen thing too. This perfectly ties into the Ellen thing of like so much of the article. Like I can tell that her PR team is doing like so. If you guys don't know, something that I have been, to use Greg's things. Chef's kiss is like the perfect thing. I have been on this podcast. I have been railing against Ellen DeGeneres for a long time.
Oh yeah, since day one.
Because I know who she is, and I have friends that have worked for her directly as writers, and I had someone who worked in her lighting department, and she is a monstrous, horrible cunt. Like I like, and again like. I know I throw that word around relatively flippantly, but like she is somebody who I mean it. Like she is a terrible person. Like fully has like a writer about how like you can't look her in the eyes, you can't talk to her. I have somebody who was on the writing staff. A joke didn't quite land the way she wanted it to. and like when it went to commercial, she berated them in front of the entire audience, the writing staff, who were on set when the show's airing. She's a psychopath, and like again, yes, like you could make the argument these people are like being sensitive or whatever, but it's like the amount of tension working on this show, like I literally saw friends become like alcoholics. They're just like, this is the worst this is the worst job I've ever had in my life. Like, and so what was amazing about when this stuff came out was she was trying to deflect it off of her. So the part that I didn't know, which is like none of my friends talked about, was that sexual assault was like rampant.
Yeah, like 30-something women.
Jesus Christ, came
forward.
And so, I promise I'll get back to the celebrity thing shortly, and Oprah will tie into this as well in a way. But yeah, so like this glorious thing is happening now, where I'm so chuffed. I'm so excited to see.
Oh, she's going down. Dude.
Yeah, because and again, like, I think that it's really proving the point of America is finally starting to turn. This gets back to the Oprah thing, on how little celebrities have to do with us.
Yeah, and if there's any other indicator for that, it's that only celebrities are coming to her aid.
Exactly.
Jay Leno, Katy Perry. Who else do we have?
Ashton Kutcher. So
Ashton Kutcher.
Let's take those three for example.
Yeah.
All of their net worth is at least over $50 million.
Yeah. Yeah. What does that say about the way Ellen treats millionaires versus the way she treats her subordinates
or celebrities that aren't that important? So like,
yeah.
I'm not really even like, their net worth actually isn't what's important. So like Ashton Kutcher is somebody who he invested in Cash App, he invested in Twitter. Like Ashton Kutcher is a very, very rich man. Mm-hmm. Like he's not that 70s show guy. Like he is a very smart and wealthy investor, right?
Yeah.
So that's number one. Number two is Jay Leno, who did the Tonight Show for 75 years. And also, like, so he's just crazy fucking wealthy, and also powerful in terms of influence. Mm-hmm. And then what was the other one we just gave?
Katy Perry.
Again, like cultural icon. Think whatever you will about her, but she's huge. So the picture of Ellen DeGeneres sitting with George Bush proves to me that she cares about there's the wealthy, and then there's the elite wealthy.
Yeah.
And she is in that club. Like, because she's a CIA asset, but but that's the point. Is like so the people that she obviously made sure to like communist China to like curate the environment were the people that have massive amounts of power. But the one who called her out was Brad Garrett, who's the brother on Everybody Loves Raymond, who is not. He did that show, and he gets syndication money, but he's not like a politically. Because like entertainment and politics, they coalesce. Like they're bad.
Brad Garrett is probably not a name you recognize unless you were a big fan.
Unless I had to explain who he was. Like, and so like, but he was like, no, because when her article came out where it was just throwing that executive producer under the bus about the sexual assault stuff, he was like, no, you're actually a bitch. And then there's a few other different actors who were kind of, some of them I didn't know their names, of course, who were the ones who were like, no, you actually suck, and your whole environment is toxic. And so she has ascended to the elite part of Hollywood, the Kevin Spacey kind of that crazy thing. And so
very apt.
So I love that she's not escaping this.
Oh, I know. And there are talks of her resigning from her show. And guess who? There are talks of replacing her.
Yeah, fat pussy.
Legendary and iconic fat pussy. James Corden.
Right. Who also, like, so anybody who has a variety show, is that fair to call their shows variety shows?
I guess so, yeah. They do, like, mini games.
And I guess he's a late night show, but those are kind of variety shows anyway. Mm. Anybody whose whole personality is curated on them being nice, like, again, like, you and I aren't famous at all. Like, we do this thing to 283 people, and probably only about 40 to 50 of them actually listen actively. So, like, oh, shit, that distracted me.
Based on their personality being nice, their whole show is them being
right.
nice.
So, like, I don't pretend to be nice even to this amount of people. So,
yeah, you are a salty, mean ass motherfucker.
Well, but it's like the point being is like is that if you're broadcasting to this many people and your whole thing is to cultivate that you're nice and likable and relatable, means that you are none of those things.
Yeah.
And that is James Corden for fucking sure.
You know what? So James Corden is the Lin-Manuel Miranda of late night shows.
That is so good.
I mean, we are a podcast that hates Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Very much.
I'm willing to entertain a conversation about him, but I'm not willing to budge on my stance about him. There's this photo of him. Actually, he takes so many photos of himself with him like biting his lip, like pouting at the camera. It makes me sick. It makes me sick, you know? Like sick to my stomach looking at him biting his lip like a fucking, like, what do you think you are? And it's like, sure, he writes okay music. You know,
I mean,
he's better than I ever could.
To his credit, the world liked that thing he made.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think it's a piece of shit, but the world liked it. But also to his credit, like the reason why like I will kind of give him a pass on this particular issue is that he played himself on Curb Your Enthusiasm, and he played himself as a dick. So I'm kind of like, okay, maybe there's some sort of like self-awareness of the perceived perception of myself. And so like Larry probably pitched him that script and he goes, okay, like this, maybe I have been kind of a dick. And so like, it almost felt like it was kind of him getting ahead of it. She has never portrayed herself to be anything other than likable, giving waitresses Kias that's sponsored by the Kia Sportage. Like that's who she is. You
know, my experience with her, I've never met her, but I went to a Trevor Project gala that was hosted.
Why?
My friend's uncle was very involved in that community. I think he still is. And he didn't want to go himself, so he sent his nephew, my friend, and my friend had a +1, and he was like, let's just go be ambassadors for my uncle since he doesn't want to be there. And I was like, great, let's do it. We dressed up, whatever, went to this thing. I pretended to be a $10,000 donor. So, like, if you were a $10,000 plus donor, you got a white rose to wear on your lapel.
Oh, wow. That's a very, like signaling out classes at the signaling out classes at a fundraiser. That's crazy.
I know. So I pretended to be one because there's no way in hell I could
God
even
bless
afford
you.
a $10,000 donation. But I think it was so crazy. So when I went to this Trevor Project thing, I actually ran into a coworker of mine from where I used to work in Laguna Beach. And he was like the interim development director. So he was in charge of donations being donated to this organization that we worked for. And he had quit within the last like 6 months or year. And I ran into him there and I'm like, what? You're here? And he's like, oh yeah, I donate tens of thousands of dollars. He had a white rose. And I was like, I gotta get one of those white roses. And so I forget what happened. I think we made a friend with somebody.
This is still crazy to me that there's a class divide at a fundraiser.
Yes.
That is so mind-boggling to me. And like also just shows how fucking ridiculous the gay lobby is.
Oh, I know. It was crazy. It was just a bunch of powerful gay men and really beautiful women. You know, like that's all it was at this party. But to get to the point, I guess, or rather to finish off the white rose thing, I made a friend who didn't want to wear his white rose, and he was like, hey, why don't you just have this? I'm like, all right. And as soon as I put it on, powerful gay men were talking to me the whole time. You know, and my friend who was with me was not a gay man. He was a straight guy. His uncle just happened to be a gay, like, powerful director or whatever. But so I was wearing the white rose. Gay men were talking to me. So much so that I missed Ellen dropping in for 30 seconds to say hi and then leave. So Ellen came to this party, stayed in. So the gala was happening in the backyard of this mansion. But in the house, there was really nobody in the house. She came into the house, said hi to the host, gave some money, I guess. I don't know. I don't think she actually did. She may have been given an award or something. And then she left because she lived right across the street. which is crazy. But yeah,
Yeah,
they gave out like young people awards, and then they gave out like top donor awards.
I mean, on that one, like I get it. Like if I were her, there's a lot like it's so crazy because like I've been reconciling her relationship to Hollywood for many, many years, like probably for about 10 years. And so like she came out of the closet as a lesbian, which arguably is
in
easy.
the 90s, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
which is arguably easier than coming out as a gay man, but that's an aside. But she did it super early, and also it wasn't super popular when she did it.
No, of course
and so like she did have a rough time with this, but you would think that struggling with things like this, with identity issues, like with identity issues,
Yeah.
you would have more empathy for people that are beneath you in status. And she did not learn that lesson. Like, and I think it's amazing to me. It's like I make this argument like with a lot of people like that I meet just on Earth, which is like you meet people who don't seem to like be able to reconcile those two realities, and you're like, this is your first time around the planet, isn't it? Like
For sure.
You manage like to have this like I don't know if it's you can call it reincarnation, you can call it whatever you want, but she should have come back as a toad to like learn some lessons, but she managed to come back as a entertainer and managed to rise the ranks to become this like a staple for like white women across America during the daytime when they're not working. And so she's become this like and cultivating this nice woman image, and yet she has zero empathy because again like this investigation is going to be it's already happening, and like the investigators are leaking stuff and being like we're really disappointed with what we're finding, and so it's like this hits all the marks. It's like so like even if she wasn't implicated, which now actors have implicated her in being a total bitch, it's like which is important because her being a total bitch and a sociopath then will ignore that there is sexual assault, which society cares more about than her treating underlings poorly or whatever. I don't even know if it's sexual assault yet. It's more like misconduct, which again is this nebulous term that's been so abused of like it could be like a passing gesture that people didn't find whatever.
But the count
also
itself,
some racism too, which is kind of interesting. But it's
I saw that.
also microaggression racism, so who knows what that is.
But the count itself is enough to be
so high.
Exactly.
But she would know.
It's enough to be alarming.
She would know. And again, like if she was the moral pinnacle that she claims to be, this would be something she would address, which is why I think that America is so intense about getting rid of her.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Because like, if she hadn't cultivated this image of herself as being like this nice person in Hollywood, I think that it wouldn't have really like if this like I'm trying to think of like who else this could have happened to. Like think of Howard Stern, right? Like Howard Stern's trying to be like this liberal, ridiculous thing now, but at the same time he has 20 years of footage and audio of him saying Nintendo, like hard R Nintendo, doing blackface. Nintendo, exactly, which is the harder R version of Nintendo. Having not David Duke, but the other KKK guy that he had on all the time. Like he would do really gnarly stuff, but again, like he has this back catalog of like, so he can dismiss it as like, this is my past. For her past is her present, where she has always been this likable, nice person. And so if there's any sort of malfeasance in that, especially when you've rallied against things in the world that have been bad, and pretending to be that you're this morally virtuous character, it's so easy to get rid of you because there's no nuance. It's just like, you're the nice dyke that we all liked, and now you're a piece of shit, and so goodbye. Yeah. And so now we're gonna hire a gay fat retard to take her place.
I mean, he's gonna get canceled just as quick.
I fucking hope so, because like again, like dude, England, take him back. Like
they don't like him there. They hate him.
That's the thing. So like I showed you the other night his Reddit AMA.
Yes.
So James Corden did a Reddit AMA with, and it wasn't just him. It wasn't like, hey, I'm James Corden, ask me anything. It was like his whole carpool karaoke staff. And like people didn't ask any of the staff questions. They were just like, hey, you're a piece of shit. I've seen you be a piece of shit in public. You suck. Eat my dick. Yeah. It was like every top comment, and then like it's one of the best. Like the worst AMAs are the ones that are so fun to look at.
Yeah, of course.
And his is one of the worst for sure, because he's just publicly or privately, I guess rather, a total piece of shit. So good, replace her with him. and see how many. Well, he's basically a gay man himself, even though he's not.
Yeah,
he acts like one.
I looked up when I was trying to find a picture of him to put in the thumbnail today. I looked up James Corden gay, just instinctively, but he's not gay.
No,
he has a wife or something.
Yeah, which is, and again, like there's so many things about him. Like again, I'm instant. Like I have an instant a reflexive reaction to people who act nice. It's like there's something about it, because I think it's working in Hollywood where everyone's like, Sean, it's so actually no, they wouldn't even say that. Like, so they have seen you before. They kind of had like some semblance of like they liked you a little bit. They don't remember your name though. It's so good to see you. What are you working on? It's like it's that tone all the time. Like, oh, that's so amazing. Like and that's who James Corden is. That's who Ellen is. Like they're all that person. They're all that fucking asshole. And dude, if this can be the start for eradicating that personality from Hollywood, because the person that does that every time is not talented, and they just use talented people to make themselves more successful every time.
Yeah,
And so like there are people who are socially gifted, but from a talent perspective, retarded. They have none of it. They have none.
Yeah, that's so funny. It's like they become evil people in that sense, or maybe they always have.
They already were.
And so like a sociopath is obviously very socially skilled because they can be whatever they want to be according to who they're interacting with. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to the new Ellen DeGeneres show hosted by James Corden.
I love it. I hope they call it that. The Ellen Show with James Corden.
That'd be so stupid. But
I think
Kate said good riddance to Ellen. She's best friends with W, which we mentioned too.
Which is so that picture was just so perfect. And and again, like her defense of it was so ridiculous. It's like, dude, several million Iraqis, like several million people in the Middle East who are innocent are dead because of this man.
Yeah.
Like what's the difference really with you going out with an assault rifle in the middle of downtown Los Angeles and taking out as many people as you can?
Yeah. I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's like there is no stronger class solidarity than with the wealthy elite.
Oh yeah.
And the people who are anywhere below that are having a tough time because the wealthy elite are telling us not to unite. They're convincing us not to unite.
You know what's so funny? It's like there's been all these past president pictures coming out. Like they do like all the past presidents lined up with each other.
Yeah.
And I think because of Trump, they're trying to like be like, hey, look what you remember this, remember these past presidents, and you know the one who's always absent, Jimmy Carter. Every time.
What?
Because he's a good person.
Fuck, dude.
Yeah.
Why is he absent? That sucks.
No, because he's like, I don't want anything to do with you fucking crazy people.
Oh, you mean... Oh, I thought you meant like portraits of them.
No. Like when they all hang out and do like photo ops together. Like you've seen it with like Obama and Bush and
of course,
and Clinton and everything. Jimmy Carter is like in some of them, but like most of the time he's like, I'm out.
Oh yeah,
like,
I wouldn't want to be there either.
Because that sweet peanut farmer is he is the best embodiment of a Christian. Like if you want an example of a good Christian, Jimmy Carter is that.
Yeah.
Like I don't really care about his stances on like anything gay or whatever. He really, I mean, what's the charity they make houses for homeless people? Homes for Humanity or
Habitat for Humanity.
He started that.
Holy shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so like he actually like even at fucking 100,000 years old with cancer, he still goes and like at least does photo ops where he's helping build them. Like the dude really cares, and he's a really good person. And like regardless of what you think of his tenure as presidency, like I historically it's hard to really know what we'll look back on that as. I mean, he was not very popular, but whatever.
He was good.
He's a good person.
You know, it was Obama's birthday, either yesterday or the day before.
What's his zodiac sign?
That would be. Is it Cancer? It's not Cancer. It's Leo. Yeah, because next is me, and then after that is Libra. So it was his birthday yesterday or something like that. Michelle Obama tweeted like something like, "It's always blue skies with you," and then somebody quote tweeted it with like somebody from the Middle East saying like, I hate blue skies now because blue skies means drone strikes are coming. And I'm paraphrasing these quotes, but like basically he said it's only peaceful when it's cloudy in the Middle East because
God, yeah, that 16-year-old boy that was saying that.
Yes. Somebody quote tweeted it with that quote.
I think he was a 16-year-old Iraqi that was like, when I see clouds, I'm not nervous about drones killing people. And
because when skies are clear, that's when planes drop bombs. But speaking of bombs, we should talk about Lebanon.
Yeah, that's a good transition. Although just to that kid's knowledge, drones don't need clouds to. The clouds don't matter.
Because they're not human. They're not flown by humans.
They use heat-seeking technology.
Yeah.
So Lebanon had a huge blast.
Right.
I just got rid of something.
It's really crazy to see these.
So this
videos.
is actually. I want to see if you can see this one.
Yeah,
here.
sure. Thank you.
This is actually the footage that I wanted to pull up because like it's one that was like really striking to me. So this is like a woman like taking a wedding drone photo.
No
when
fucking
it happens.
way.
Yeah. I thought you hadn't seen it, which is why I wanted to pull it up.
What? Holy shit! Oh, she's beautiful. Oh, jeez, I don't like this. Oh, get down! Oh my god! Oh my god. That was so loud.
Yeah. So and they must have been really far. But again, like I think one of the most amazing parts of this explosion was like the concussive force. Like there's actually another video I wanted to pull up.
Well, you said they're really far. While you're pulling that up, you said they're really far, but that first video that you sent me of the explosion, it took that long for the sound to get to him, and he was not very far.
Right.
It was really,
well, I mean,
really scary.
Well, and like, who knows if he survived that? Because again, like,
that's true.
I mean, so here's one that like this has happened before with like a fertilizer explosion. This is like one in West Texas. I wanted to show you guys. Let me go back a little bit. So this is a parent in his car with his kids because he doesn't know what's happening.
Oh, jeez. I don't like this.
Look, it's getting down low now. But the wind blowing that way.
Ugh. So they're just looking at the place now. It's on fire.
Should collapse.
It should collapse, he says.
There. Looks like it's jumped out the window.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Oh, you okay?
Dad?
You okay?
I can't hear.
Come here.
I can't hear. Get out of here.
Oh
Please,
my
get out
god.
of here.
Yeah, please.
So like again, it's like somebody who's filming it that like doesn't
Christ.
understand like that ammonium nitrate, which is the chemical, right? Like I think it's like what I've been reading is that's the chemical. Is massively explosive when it's safe normally because it's used in fertilizer, which is like what was burning in Texas there. But so the official statement from Lebanon was that this was a shipment they had seized of this particular chemical that has been stored in that particular location since 2014. I'm hoping that's the case. I hope this wasn't some kind of attack.
Too. But Trump referred to it as an attack. Yeah, twice. Very early on, before they even knew how many tons of ammonium nitrate they suspected were there.
It was like
2,700 tons.
Yeah, and like so that one was I think I read it was 200 tons. So like
Jesus Christ.
So
yeah, DCK is talking about like distance. So obviously sound travels slower than what you see
naturally. Yeah.
So because the speed of light is faster than the speed of sound. So like things that we saw, like the wedding photos one, she was at least some distance from the explosion, but other videos that I've seen that have surfaced are about the same distance based on the amount of time it takes to hear the explosion after you see it.
I think what's still so amazing though is like, so she was probably very far away from it, but again, you would have obviously heard the delayed sound, but the amount of concussive force, the amount of force that actually blew windows out, and pushed people away, was so intense.
Yeah,
I mean,
it would bust your eardrums.
Like,
probably.
I don't think I've ever, like, in my lifetime, I don't think I've ever seen an explosion like this. Like this was on the level of like a nuke. I mean, it was crazy how big this was, and so.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Really insane.
I feel really bad. And also, too, like I was talking to a neighbor of mine who's Lebanese, and she was saying that, like, it totally destroyed that port, which is, like, 80% of their, like, food commerce. And so, like, they're going to be in deep shit here for a little while. Hopefully, countries rally around to help them. But
it seems obviously foolish to harbor that much ammonium nitrate in that spot.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I forgot who it was exactly, what his position was, but he was talking about how they had been trying to... like since 2014 they've been trying to say this is unsafe, like to move it or to do something, and nobody has really done anything about it. And so it's I mean, it's bad, but I don't know, like like the casualty count, like you like I saw like 20, and I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna and like at least I think this could have easily killed 1,000 people. But I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to watch.
Yeah, even watching that West Texas one, that made my stomach drop.
Yeah.
And like seeing all the footage from different angles of this explosion in Lebanon, it's just been absolutely devastating.
I mean, one of our biggest domestic terrorist attacks was the Oklahoma City bombing, and he used the same thing to pull it off, and he used a ton of it.
1 ton.
1 ton.
As opposed to 2,700 tons that were at this place in Lebanon.
Yep.
Insane, dude.
Yeah.
Really crazy. I think like the bright side, I guess, is that footage from these explosions, if they were posted at some point, the person who took the video probably survived.
I hope so. But
so you can imagine that the dude who posted that car footage in West Texas survived, and his family survived.
Yeah. No.
Also in the video, he's like, "Are you okay?" Like immediately after the explosion.
But the kid's saying he can't hear. I mean, that's the thing about concussive force too, is like the noise is what makes you go deaf, but like the amount of like the change in the air,
pressure.
The pressure,
the pressure will literally beat
burst
your drums.
eardrums.
Yeah.
And so like the amount of like residual effects from this, the amount of like houses that were utterly destroyed just based on the force of the explosion. Fortunately, it's not a nuke, so there's no fallout or anything like that, but god damn, like I mean, I literally watched like probably 10 different angles of that explosion, because it like boggled the mind, and I feel so badly for the people who are close to it or around it. And so
surprisingly, I have like a lot of Lebanese friends. I'm not sure how that happened.
I mean, like LA, we get a lot of like friends.
But I mean, like friends that I met in Florida, friends that I met elsewhere. And I'm just now discovering this because they're very passionate about it. They're like, my family in Lebanon is okay. They're posting on their stories, and I'm like, oh, thank God. But I had no idea. So like, I don't know. It's interesting to see that I've known so many Lebanese people. I don't know, but yeah, thoughts and prayers to them, even though that doesn't do a whole lot.
Yeah.
I think you can donate to Red Cross if you want to support.
Yeah, I don't know. Find something smaller. Like Red Cross is a bit of like a boon.
You don't like Red Cross?
No, like they're kind of like they've been. But I'm gonna wait to donate. Like just wait until you see like who.
Sure.
Like find a person who's doing good work and give them money. Like
yeah.
Because like again, like we still don't know the casualty count. Like I've not seen anything about it.
Right.
And it's gonna be fucking high.
Right. Hundreds of buildings were like leveled from this bomb.
Yeah.
So you can only imagine the death count.
Yeah. But it's strange because like first they were blaming it on a firework factory, and what's weird is you do see like kind of
fireworks before it happened.
Yeah. And so like, who stores fireworks next to a massively
I don't think
volatile
that's
material?
the case. I think what it was is that like there were protesters in that part of the city. I think I don't know any fact about it, but like so Lebanon was facing like the biggest they're on the brink of a huge famine because the government has been threatening to shut down their power, and they started shutting down their power in the last couple days, power and water, from like the usual 3 hours a day to conserve power to 20 hours a day. So they were going 20 hours a day out of a 24-hour day without power. And so like protesters were obviously trying to like make change happen. There's been change, like they've tried to make change happen for the last, I don't know how many months, six months to a year, because like lately it's just been awful in Lebanon for their citizens. But yeah, so I read somewhere that their power outages were going from 3 hours to 20 hours instead. So obviously there's unrest, but like when we went to that protest in Long Beach, there were people throwing fireworks in the street.
Yeah.
And we are like, so America is, all eyes are on America right now in regards to COVID, in regards to BLM.
Like I said, another one, like our largest export other than weapons is culture.
Mm-hmm. So I would not be surprised if other countries in the world are being inspired by our protests, by our protesting strategies to throw fireworks in the street. I would not be surprised if that spread to a place like Lebanon, where they're lighting fireworks in the street to enact some kind of change, you know?
But for a warehouse factory to be next to...
You think protesters would know that?
No. Oh, no. Like, but it just seems odd that these two things would be next to each other. Like something that is purposefully meant to be ignited next to this amount of corrosive or volatile material.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. Bizarre. A fireworks store, a place that sells like fireworks or whatever.
It wasn't a store. I mean, like, do you know which video I'm talking about where like you literally see a bunch of fireworks?
There's one from the balcony, and there's like 30 seconds before, and you can see fireworks going off pretty close to the ground.
And again, like that's actually why I brought up the West Texas footage. Is like you don't see like I thought like maybe this material will have that effect, but I mean clearly it doesn't. It's just a fire and then it explodes.
Yeah.
So what's going on?
Yeah. I don't believe that there would be a firework warehouse next to a place storing
Well, then so what do you think?
I think it's kind of what I said. Like there have been protests happening in Lebanon.
So you think like it was
intentional fireworks,
but unintentional because they didn't know it was in this
I don't know if the bomb itself
but it was over at like
whatever.
the ports. Like why would they be protesting there?
I don't know. I mean, like, if I were to make a conjecture about it, it would be that, like, the ports, like you said, are 80% of their economy, their sustenance for that country. So, like, if you can sort of disrupt that, you can get the government to enact change. You know?
Maybe. I mean,
I don't know. It's just that people have been trying to make change in Lebanon for a long time. And maybe they still were trying until this bomb went off, this explosive ammonium nitrate went off. But my idea, because there's no evidence of it. My idea is that maybe they gleaned from our protests here to throw fireworks in the street, you know.
And started a fire.
I don't know. I'm just saying that would be an explanation for the fireworks, not for the explosion.
Because the thing is, like, the building would have had to have caught. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, very cool.
Would have had to caught fire in order for that to happen. So. I don't know.
I don't know either.
We're going to learn more, I think. But,
yeah, it only just happened, so.
But, like, this would have had to have been... It's crazy because I was looking more into the West Texas thing, and, like, the ATF declared that to be an intentionally set fire, but then they never caught anybody, and, like, there's a lot of, like, controversy about the ATF's decision to declare it as an intentionally set fire. So I'm very curious to see what kind of comes out of this as to what, like... There's another video that I saw that Majid Nawaz posted, the guy who was like always does podcasts with Sam Harris. I also wrote the book with him. And he was showing another video where he's like, I think I hear like missiles or whatever. And there was like a noise. Like it could have even been a jet. It could have been a jet flying over possibly. But like, I don't know. Like this one's weird. Something's weird about it. And
for sure.
I'm not going to say what it is now, but like, because I don't have like any kind of like Epstein certainty about this one, but it's beyond odd for sure.
We have to talk about the George Floyd footage. We're not going to watch it, but
no, I mean, because you guys can all go look it up. So based on because I watched enough of it. So
there's new body cam footage of George Floyd's murder.
I don't know which cop it is because again, like I only watched I watched enough of it to kind of get the point. I didn't, because we all watched that almost 9-minute video of him dying, and so it's like after I saw that, I'm like, the older I get, the less I want to watch. Like I used to watch like ISIS beheading videos and all this kind of. I can't really
watch people die.
I can't really do it so much anymore.
It makes me sick.
Yeah, and so I kind of just knew that was going to be the inevitable conclusion of the whole thing, but based on what I saw, I think they're going to get acquitted, the cops.
Right, and we kind of said this before with them escalating.
They're overcharging him. Yeah.
Yeah, escalating his charges. So Derek Chauvin's charge went from third-degree murder to second degree?
I think it's in first degree now.
You've got to be kidding. That is, and so like the higher they raise the bar, the more likely it is that he'll get acquitted for the charge that he's brought upon.
So if you haven't seen the footage,
that is brought upon him, I mean.
The second they pull him over, he's on something. I mean, he is like so erratic. Like, I mean, if I were a cop and I didn't know who this person was, I would be frightened for sure. And like, so I had other people who watched it kind of explain the series of events, which is that he's super erratic, clearly on something. I mean, like I could tell that from what I watched as well. Like he's, he had fentanyl in the system, but like there's some upper present as well. Like if it's not mental illness, it's like either mental illness or some kind of upper. I don't know what's going on, but like
what is it that Dr. Drew always says that like cocaine makes you fear law enforcement and run away from law enforcement, and meth makes you attracted to them?
Yeah, like it may have been some meth adjacent drug to. I don't think because he was scared. Like that's the thing about it. It's like
I didn't watch it.
He's super panicked and scared, but also like not very coherent. And so the amount that I watched, the cops already like he's got his gun drawn, which we can make questions about that. But like again, like George won't really show him both of his hands. Like if I were the cop, I would be really frightened too. I'd be like, I don't know what the fuck's going on here. Like I've seen enough videos of cops like playing it nice and getting shot, like because the guy is like on some other thing. So like I kind of get that decision in a way, but so the series of events goes like this. So they get him out of the car, they handcuff him. They're gonna put him in the back of the patrol car. He says he's claustrophobic, and the cop says, relatively politely, like I'll roll down the window for you. He says no. He starts to freak out. He resists. They do what they do, tackle him. Then he says he can't breathe. They call an EMT. That's when Chauvin has his knee on the guy's on George Floyd's neck. Yeah. And then while they're waiting for the EMT, he dies.
Yeah. The whole time they're waiting for the EMT, he has his knee on his neck.
Right. So like the problem though is that in the Minneapolis conduct rules for cops in the handbook, they're allowed to perform that move that Chauvin was doing. Like it's legally protected. They're allowed to do that, which that's the thing that should be getting rid of. Like
that is the problem.
That's the problem. Mm-hmm. But he was legally, technically within his rights to do what he did. So this is why I definitely think they're all going to get acquitted.
It sucks because like, and hopefully I really hope, I hope they don't. I don't want them to get acquitted.
Just like,
imagine the unrest that will come from that.
That's way bigger than my morality on this because like look, you can talk about how laws are morally unjust and wrong, right? Mm-hmm. But they exist, and like largely sometimes citizens voted for them to exist. So if it's proven that Chauvin existed within the law to do what he did, and that's not to dismiss how fucked up it was, we now have a problem because we would hope that these protests were very clear and focused on what should be changed, but they're not.
Right.
So
I think like the great thing is that court cases are historically able to overturn law. It's why we have so many historic cases like Roe v. Wade, like Brown versus Board of Education. These like court cases can overturn things that should not be in place. And so the law that's in place that protects Derek Chauvin or whatever should not exist. He should not be able to do that for that extended amount of time. There needs to be some change to the law. And because there needs to be some change, he shouldn't be acquitted. I think
sure,
and that's how you create these court case precedents.
And I love that idea, and I am so looking forward to that. But the problem is that we have a very uneducated, uncurious populace who, when this court case goes the way that I'm predicting is going to go in March, is going to set this fucking country on fire. Mm-hmm. Because they will not be interested in the fact that like this was fucked up, and it's fucked up this guy died and he was murdered, but we need to work to change this law that allowed this to happen. Meanwhile, they're going to elect a guy who wrote the crime bill that really got us into this point, like at this point in the first place.
That is the worst.
So
part. Yeah.
It's like the amount of brainwashing that happens in this country about reality and like how to actually make change has made us all so collectively stupid that I don't really think any progress will get made in terms of like helping things like this not happen. Meanwhile, stupid citizens are going to destroy the lives of working class people because they're angry.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to happen. And it sucks because like the defense has like it's going to be very hard to find an unbiased jury. I don't really know how they're going to do that.
Right. Because it's such a popular story that every person has been exposed to it at this point.
Right.
Every American.
And I'm not saying this with any kind of glee. In fact, this gives me a massive amount of sadness, but the defense has a slam dunk. It really does.
So Gio says, why wasn't this footage released until now? It could have stopped so much unrest if people saw the full story, in my opinion.
No.
And then Greg says, miles and miles of bureaucracy and red tape.
Yeah, Gio, it wouldn't have. It's gonna separate, like, because I think that like before this even happened, there was like people were so kind of becoming entrenched in their own identity issues that like I think that people are going to watch this. Very few people are going to watch it and come to the conclusion that I just came to, mm-hmm. which most huge events in history, which George Floyd was and is, the truth is so gray. But that takes complicated thought to think that way.
Yeah.
So everyone has to exist on the black and white because it's easy.
I wonder though, like, so obviously so George Floyd's murder has been the catalyst for such massive protesting globally. Why didn't this happen for somebody like Eric Garner? And so,
or better, like Tamir Rice, the guy who had the gun legally.
Philando Castile.
Yeah.
So like these things, they're
we know why though. We know why. It was the I mean, we all watched inside.
I was gonna say there needed to be a perfect storm for this to happen, for people to want to enact change, and so like, Jordan, you and I were texting about the footage not being released earlier, but the body cam footage for the Wendy's incident with Rayshard Brooks, is that his name?
Yeah.
The Wendy's incident was released almost immediately, and it's still unclear as to why it was released immediately and George Floyd's wasn't. But like I think like this thing happening to George Floyd is such a, again, to say a perfect storm to sort of release this tension that has been, or a way to express this tension that has been boiling under for so long.
Well, I think, yeah. Well, I think what's tough is so I read the defense affidavit for not the Asian cop, but the other white cop that was involved. That was like kind of newer to the force, who's now been charged in this as well. And what's a bummer is that like his series of events lines up exactly to what was on the video. Mm-hmm. And which is like his entire defense, and I'm like, it's
that's weird.
But so yeah, I mean they're gonna get, but I think the Wendy's one was released early because again, like when you say that things were in the confines of the law and the cops acted how they were not supposed to, but how they were legally allowed to act, that was what happened in the Rayshard Brooks case. Like, I'm not condoning what they did. They had his license. They had his car. They could have found him later. They should have done that. But Rayshard Brooks made a decision, which is to point anything that looks like a gun that was taken off a belt at a cop, and then I've been arrested. If I were to have behaved the same way, I would have definitely gotten shot. And like, that's the other part about this footage. There's no racism in it. It's not. It's a very erratic person they're dealing with, and it doesn't matter that he's black. So like for this to have exploded into a racial issue, and that isn't to say that black people don't have a harder time with the cops, but like this issue, kind of like Michael Brown, may not be the one you're looking for, but it worked to get society to kind of get upset about it, which good, I guess, because there were so many of these. But like, again, like I was talking to a friend about this the other day, like the one that everyone forgets about. So like we watched George Floyd get his neck kneeled on and he died of suffocating, right?
Right.
He also had a bunch of other stuff in the system, which I think I'm only saying that because I think it'll be relevant in the court case. That'll move forward. Some stuff that slows your breathing, all this kind of stuff. But no one here that's probably even listening to this knows the name Kelly Thomas.
Right.
And there is video footage of a white homeless man who was a veteran getting literally beaten to death while he's calling out for his father. Like not like the treatment that Kelly Thomas got, and you'll see pictures of him in the hospital like before he died. Like, his face is so fucked up. Like, I would much rather die of suffocation than get beaten to death, which is what happened to him. So it's like, but no one cared. No one cared, which is kind of like why none of these events should happen. None of them should happen. Cops should not have this authority. They shouldn't be able to act like this with impunity. Like, that's ridiculous. But simultaneously, to make this particular issue, like police malfeasance, a racial issue is going to not accomplish anything. Like, you need to make it a human rights issue, which is what really got people into the streets. It's like, you have taken our jobs away, you've made us stay inside, you have taken everything from us, and you're giving us no recourse to defend ourselves.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's what this is all about.
It is. It's human rights for sure.
But identitarians cannot help but make it about themselves every fucking time, because there are enough grifters who are articulate, well-spoken, and able to like make money off of these issues, like Sean King, who's white. And these are people that will like make this stuff about them because it just continues to make them money. And like, even the families of the victims, like, millions of dollars pour into these things. Like, George Floyd was not, like me, not an amazing person, but got a fucking giant funeral with a horse-drawn carriage. I mean, like there's just something about what happens, like, because we're being used, man. Like,
oh, for sure.
Like, that's my point. Like, largely, and it's not to diminish any of these people dying or anything, or to dismiss any racial tension in this country or anything that's fucked up that happens to black people that's totally unfair. Like, that's not what this is about. It's just that, like, I am begging the populace to focus your attention on what really matters, and it's us versus them, and the them are not that many people. It's like the Ellens of the world, the 1%, the Oprah who is trying to pretend that she's with us, but she's worth $3 billion. Like, these people are not you. They're not even close to being you. Mitch McConnell isn't you. Nancy Pelosi isn't you. Trump isn't you. Biden certainly isn't you. And they're all pretending they are because it is politically expedient for them to act like they care about this shit, but they don't.
Yeah. These people make every decision for us. They decide how much our power and our water will cost. They decide basically all of these things.
If they can shut it off?
If they can shut it off. They can... they really just dictate how our lives look based on their image of a good society. But you cannot trust them to decide what a good society looks like, because many of them are sociopaths.
Truly. I mean, again, because again, to an audience of 60 people who actively listen to this, I don't know how many, audio is another maybe 60 or 70 people. I still feel a semblance of responsibility to talk about this and give all those caveats I just gave about talking about George Floyd, about how I actually care. But I want to talk about the other thing as well that I think is more important. None of these politicians care. If it's politically expedient for them to win and to seem to have the appearance that they care more. I have no stakes, and I could become probably an alt-right channel right now, and I would get more viewers, right? But I do this because I enjoy it, and so it should really be a litmus test for how good these people are, and everybody listens to this knows they're pieces of shit, but it's this moment in time, especially seeing that footage, should really illustrate how, because if there's more civil unrest, which there will be, it doesn't affect any of them. Which is what I was saying on the last one of go to Mitch McConnell's house.
Go to Nancy Pelosi's house.
Go
threaten
there.
her. Threaten them.
Don't burn
down.
Don't burn down independent businesses in your city.
Yeah.
That's not helping anybody. Don't burn down federal buildings either, because we pay for it.
Right.
Be smart. If you actually want to accomplish something, make them fear for their lives.
Yeah. This is that, because you mentioned the alt-right kind of thing. This is that meme. So before anybody tries to associate us with conservative values, it's that's so gay. But this is that meme where the dude is making a joke about, or the meme of where we make fun of liberals and a Republican or a conservative laughs along with that joke and it's ugh. No, this joke isn't for you. This is for us.
Yeah, I know.
So this isn't we're not siding with anybody really here. It's just a humanitarian thing to it's a human rights issue to fight against the people who are making poor decisions for the general populace.
Because both the parties are the same thing. They all care about the same shit. Again, Trump is supposed to be this crazy, massive, hard right thing, but his policies are kind of to the left of Obama.
It's strangely progressive.
And so what that proves to me, what is what does the what are the Democrats allowing to be pushed so hard during this time? Is identitarian politics, stuff that pushes us apart. Because if we all came together, white, black, gay, Asian, whatever, trans, if we all came together, we'd realize, oh, we're all being fucked if we make under $100,000, and collectively they know we would kill them. I mean, so that's really what it is. It's there is a deliberate. It is the people overuse the term psyop, but that's exactly what this is. And truly, I think that's what identity politics is now. It is to keep the underclass divided, because I don't give a shit that you're black. I don't give a shit that you're gay. I don't give a shit that you're transgender. If you're poor, we're all on the same page. Or poor, or I mean, poor is so subjective, but it's in California, you have to be pretty well off to spend money and not think about it. And so so I mean,
I'm willing to secede to the fact that there is an intersection of if you are poor and black and trans, it's your life fucking sucks. Your family will not support you. It's the only
it's the only intersectional thing that I'll actually And again, this is why I hate the left so much. Is they ruin all of it, all these conversations, because they allow really stupid people to become the mouthpiece for and I think it's by design. AOC, I know she has a college degree. I know she's, but she says the stupidest shit all the time. And again, it's I was telling Sean before we started the podcast of that woman just got elected, Cori Bush. In Missouri, and great. I'm glad the squad's because despite all the things I say that may seem, again, because everyone has to put everyone into tribes, I want all the progressive shit you guys want. I really do. But it's the identity politics thing is going to ruin you at every metric, because Medicare for all, the poor white guy wants that. But the second you start talking about cauliflower being racist, he's out. So it's or men being trash, or all this kind of stuff that's always come out of the left. Don't alienate poor white people. There are more of them, and they can help you get these things forward. Unless all these people are I'm at the point where I'm convinced are these people bad actors? Are they actually like Republicans that got pushed in to like fuck with the whole thing because
Psyops.
I mean for real.
Yeah.
Because it's like, why would you think that it's effective to talk about identity politics when you're trying to push forward stuff that helps poor Americans?
Right.
That's crazy to me. Like, why would you separate identity lines when you're trying to just help a specific demographic of people that would help people of all colors, all races, all orientations, everything? But you have to make it about your race or your...
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense, but I think they're trying to bend to what feels popular, which
on
is
Twitter.
the internet. The internet, yeah. So, I think it's a misguided sort of a misguided political goal to bend to what Twitter wants, because like that Joshua Collins dude who ran for Congress, he got like 900 something votes, but raised $300,000 from his Twitter supporters. Like his 70 something thousand Twitter supporters raised him that much money, and he only got 900 votes in his district.
That's amazing. Steve Cox, who we interviewed, he spent $800 and
got like
8,000 votes.
Yeah, dude. And it's crazy that like not crazy. Like Steve did it right somehow. And somebody like Josh Collins like just failed so miserably, who had 70,000 Twitter followers, a similar amount of TikTok followers, and it just did not work for him. It's just an indication of like Twitter support is not
real life,
indicative of real life.
No,
yeah, exactly.
It's absolutely not. And I think that like, and the point of that is, do not let your policy actions or how you speak to the public be dictated by what you're seeing on Twitter.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
It seems so. It's so obvious. And if you truly care about unity, talk about wealth disparity, which unfortunately the guy who shits on a golden toilet had to say that in public. Like Trump had to be the one that's like put out a tweet that was had no other context to it other than the biggest problem in this country is wealth disparity.
Yeah.
The fucking billionaire who has a gaudy Persian apartment in Manhattan is the one that said that.
Yeah.
What is wrong?
Gio says a dead guy got more votes in Collins district, and that's true. A man who died in April got more votes, got like 100 more votes than Josh Collins.
Can you write Kate's comment?
Yep. BLM affiliate groups get tens of millions of dollars. Soon people are going to ask where it's going. I worry that if there's any issue there, then it will derail popularity of those advocate issues.
Well, and I said this on a podcast, I think, before you were a subscriber, Kate, is like I am inevitably waiting for BLM, the organization, not the statement Black Lives Matter. I believe in that statement, but I do not trust the organization, is going to turn into Wyclef Jean's Haiti Fund, where it's going to like there's going to be massive money embezzlement, because like they must have like, because if that Minnesota Freedom Fund got $30 million, which they only spent $800,000 to get people out of jail, BLM in the last 2 months must have gotten at the very least $200 million, at the very least. And also they've become a funding arm for Act Blue, which is crazy. So I support the statement Black Lives Matter, but the organization, I don't know who they are. And if you go, like, I encourage all of you to go to their website. Like, that's the amazing thing is like so many people that I've known that have gotten like not arguments, but like kind of tense discussions about the organization. I always ask them, did you read the website? Because it is all run by Black identitarian lesbians who like have all these thoughts about race theory and gender theory. Like they are like I don't care if you're a Marxist or a communist or a socialist. It's like, but you have to see some of this stuff as just intentionally divisive. And like what we should be looking at right now during this pandemic is working together for the love of fuck. And so it's like, and again, the quickest way to divide somebody is like, for example, you're 7 years younger than me. If I were to say to you, oh, you wouldn't understand that because you're, it's the same shit.
That fucking drives me crazy.
It's the exact same
dude.
shit. Like if I were to say to you like, oh, you just wouldn't understand because you're not gay. Like it's people have a visceral reaction to this. So like and again, like an age difference is something like you will get older, but you'll never not be black. So like when people, you never will be black rather. So it's like that kind of thing of like when people like separate you by really intense identity lines that cannot be changed, it's very to me, intentionally divisive. And I cannot think at this point in the simulation, this is not by design. Like, there's something about this that is, like, totally by design in order to just keep us from rising up together.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like, arming ourselves. Like, that's the crazy part, too. Like, why is it a leftist argument to disarm people? Like,
it's so stupid. Like, if we want to enact change, we should also embrace the Second Amendment.
Make your politicians scared of you.
Yes. Yes.
Because they should be more scared of you than losing an election.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They should be scared for their lives.
If you guys have never shot a gun, go to a shooting range and go shoot a gun. Understand what they're about, because that really changed what I feel or how I feel about guns. It's like I had never touched a gun until I was 20 years old. And I needed to understand what it means to have that power in your hands. And I think it's also why, like, police have this authority complex, this power complex, to be able to stand over us and be at a 10 always, or at a 12 always when they interact with citizens or whatever. It's just like, if you have the ability to, and you have never touched a gun, go do it. Because that will change your perspective, I think.
And I think, like, also too, when you fired one, you've been around them, and knowing that most of this country is armed to some degree, and like, so like, we know how many legal guns there are, which is like more than there are people,
Mm-hmm.
but also like illegal guns as well. Like, it kind of gives you some perspective into the police and like why they're terrified at every stop, you know, and they should be, you know, like, again, like, I think that, like, the police are the bottom rung of the state enforcing its power, right? And, like, I almost feel sympathy for them because they are the literal lowest class of the government. Like, other than, I guess, meter maids or the post office.
Yeah,
I guess.
they're the government's cronies.
Right. But they're also the government's cronies that have to think about dying every day. It's like, that's who they are. So, like, they're the government's most disposable lower class cronies. That's who they are. So, with no glory, no one likes them, and rightfully so for a lot of the shit they've done. But it's like, again, like, we should, I don't know, maybe I want the Wild West again. Like, we're all just packing heat, and it's kind of like, but like, most legal gun owners, like, people that I know that have, like, that are in concealed carry states, are like, they feel this sense of responsibility because they know they have this thing. Like, so I have friends that, like, have concealed carries that have gotten into physical altercations, and their thought isn't to pull the gun. Like, it's not. It's like, that will be making such a serious choice. And I think that, like, people should understand the gravity of their existence. Like, whether or not it's even an armed argument. It's like, if you're dealing with a cop and the cop's already at 10, you're dealing with an irrational person that is carrying a gun. So deal with it later. Be the most compliant gummy bear of a person and just let it happen. Like, no matter how much injustice you feel or whatever, just let it happen, because you run the risk of getting killed. So
right,
I don't know.
Yeah, just run their plates and do it later. Checking our note now to see if there's anything else we need to talk about. I think we covered everything. The podcast is titled K-Hive Mind.
Just because the last one, it's like, I've not met a more psychotic group of people than the K-Hive.
The K-Hive, they're crazy.
They are like radical centrists. It's so weird.
That is such a great way to put it. I'm so amazed. It's so funny because I saw like a lot of shit about like liberals talking about Rashida Tlaib winning her primary, and I saw somebody tweet like, Rashida Tlaib is gonna lose her primary because she booed Hillary Clinton. And then she won her primary.
Because the internet thinks that people like Hillary Clinton more than they actually do.
Right. It's so bizarre that people have made Hillary Clinton their savior, their god, and Kamala Harris is just Hillary Light.
She should have won.
Right. Kamala Harris is Hillary Light, and Joe Biden is Hillary with dementia. I think it's a thing I saw on Twitter. It's not my own.
Well, I mean, Hillary already had brain damage, so
yes,
it's a little
brain
redundant.
damage is the language they used, actually.
I mean, Hillary. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was just funny. Like if you guys go to our last video, because we had a lot of, I don't know if we probably lost a lot of them, but the people who came to us from Hardlands Media's channel, and because we trashed Kamala pretty hard. And if you go look at the comments, it's so funny. Like watching, cause one of you, a couple of you guys that we got from Harlan's Media were like soldiers. You guys were like really, because I don't really do I read the comments. I do read them, but like I make calculated decisions of whether or not to participate in them. It's
yeah, of course.
Because
of course.
like, and normally when it's something like super stupid, I'll love it. So like, or because it's just like, but there are two fans. We made an Elizabeth Warren video that went kind of viral for us, and that one brought out the weird, like, diehard Pete Warren and Kamala fans are out of their goddamn minds. Like, I don't know what they're like, because there are three empty vessels. Like, that isn't dismissing what Elizabeth Warren did during the financial crisis of 2008. Like, she did some good things, but she is now completely an empty vessel, dead person. And so, like, for those three people to get defended so viscerally right now is so, I must lack the empathy to get in the mind of that person, because I don't understand it. Like, unless you just think that everything is going amazing right now.
Right.
Like, I think that must be the person it is, that like just looks at the world, looks at what's going on, like the pandemic, the social unrest, the perceived racism, all this kind of stuff, and goes like, this is great. I like this.
This'll do.
This'll do. Kamala Harris, 2020.
I for one am very disappointed that Joe Biden has not announced.
I think
Kamala
he might have gotten.
Harris.
I think he might have gotten fucked, but
yeah. And now he has no one to pick.
Yeah.
Because people did not want Kamala Harris.
Well,
or rather,
they had
like,
the Karen Bass woman, but now like there's a lot of. She's got a lot of baggage. She like said some flattering stuff about Scientology. She said some flattering stuff about. I think she was at. She might have been at Castro's funeral. I don't know if that's like over the top.
Jesus
Christ. Can someone in the comments actually correct me on that if I'm wrong?
Castro's funeral.
She eulogized Castro, or like something happened. I don't know. It was something weird like that. But again, like I don't really care about that. I mean, like that's kind of more red baiting bullshit to me. But like, and then the other one was Val Demings, but she was a cop, so that's a problem. I want Keisha Bottoms so badly, because I want the Biden Bottoms stickers so badly. Dude, if she became the running mate and it was Biden Bottoms, I would buy the sticker just for the principle of it. I would buy a hat that said Biden Bottoms on it. And so, but yeah, I think he's kind of screwed, and I think they're going to settle on Kamala Harris. I still think.
Yeah.
But
I'm really excited for that.
Yeah.
I am so excited to see her on that debate stage with Mike Pence. I'm just it makes my heart soar, honestly.
I had an interesting thought. Like I've been. I'm not saying I would vote for Trump, but think like, okay, so like all of this stuff right now feels like a fucking nightmare, right? But it can be the catalyst through which we have massive change in a very progressive way.
Yes.
So if you elect Joe Biden, it's going to just put a cap on it.
Yep.
It's over. And also will prove to the establishment that running a centrist who is not progressive at all works. If you elect Trump, it'll be more chaos and more painful torture, but we could potentially get more change in the aftermath of that chaos.
Yeah, but
I'm just putting that thought out there.
Biden wants to revert to what the Obama era was like,
which was terrible in hindsight.
It's terrible in hindsight, but it's so stagnant and disgusting and gross.
It's just
smells like piss water.
Neoliberal bullshit. Neocon, really. I mean,
it is. And so, like, yeah, what do we really want? And if Trump's recent tweet about income and wealth disparity is any indication of how progressive he is, we might get some positive change.
And that tweet was one of many. I mean, he gave several statements where he was just like, we need to pay people. Like, what are we doing? I mean, so look, I mean, I'm in this very really shitty position of, I don't want Trump to win, but I want Biden to lose more. I think I've said that many times before. Yeah. So, when people say a vote for anyone else is a vote for Trump, or not voting is a vote for Trump, I'm like, good, fine. Yeah. Like I'll take 4 more years of chaos. I really will. I'm ready for it. I'm young enough. I can endure it. Like, I know boomers are tired of it and they're old and sick, but like, I'm young. I think that like chaos is how we make radical change in this country, because incremental change does nothing.
Right.
And it always ends up in some compromise that has some neutered bill about nothing. So bring it on. Bring on the nukes. I'm fine for it. Let's go to war with China and start speaking Mandarin.
Bring on the nukes, you guys. Bring them on. Whew. Kyle says, if he picks Tulsi, I'll vote Biden and never forgive myself.
Yeah.
He would never, though, because Tulsi's been stomped into the dust by the DNC.
Yeah.
They don't want her.
Yeah, she was cool, but they don't like anyone's cool.
Oh, I love her so much.
I love like someone brought up Tulsi, like some K-Hive person, and they were like, she's terrible in foreign policy, and I'm like,
that's her whole thing.
And like, I was trying to so people like have a lot of issues with her relationship with Modi, and I'm like, well, she's Hindu, and he's the president of like literally the most populous country based on space that's largely Hindu, so like, yeah, she would probably be cool with him, like regardless of what he does or doesn't do. And again, like I would argue that I'm equally as not entrenched in Indian politics as the person that made that comment, just for the record. I don't get India. I wouldn't understand if I ran it, how to manage that many people. It would be impossible. Right. So that's the other one. That's really the main one she gets. Also, like, they keep saying that she supported drone strikes and she doesn't. So I don't know where that one has come from. It's probably like some fucking agitprop sort of news outlet that ended up writing some article about her, but I don't know. But like to me, like our support, us liking Tulsi in the past is so irrelevant to the current moment. It's like,
which sucks. I wish it was relevant, because if Tulsi was still relevant, life would be much simpler.
I mean, but again, like I think the point I'm trying to make is like neither of us are like simping for her. It's kind of thing of like, yeah, it was a cool moment. Like neither of us knew she wouldn't win. We just thought like her political moment was exciting.
Yeah.
And she was hot, which like I really want a hot president, and we're not gonna get it. I mean, she was kind of the only one on that stage that didn't look like a fucking, melted dog.
But Marianne, I miss her so much.
She was cool.
I miss Marianne so much, and like I see her tweets. I follow her now, and I see her tweets all the time.
I mean,
she's such a sweetheart.
If you're like a hardcore progressive, she's doing the work. I mean,
she's progressive, but she's spiritual, and I feel like we've lost so much of that.
That's basically what she said. I mean, she's like,
she's a spiritual progressive.
Yeah.
We've lost so much of that in the world these days. And
Kate asked, "What's the K-Hive?" They're insanely sycophantic Kamala Harris supporters. Like they're the most obsequious, like Democratic Party establishment people who are largely like black gay men for some weird reason.
Yeah.
Because they've been like brainwashed into thinking that she's fierce or something. I don't know what the fuck it is.
Yeah.
Even though she locked up more black men than probably anybody else.
Hundreds.
In terms of California politics. So I don't know. Is there anything else you feel like?
I don't think so. I think we've covered everything and did it very well. Yeah.
All right.
I was scared we weren't going to make it to an hour.
Yeah. I was a little brain dead in the beginning, but I became very focused.
All right, folks. FOLX. We're going to head out.
See you next time.
Yes. We will see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
This is all wrong. That's no good. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams. That's no good. How dare you?
Das Basket.